Safeguarding at Apollo, a case study in organizational vulnerabilities. A narrative analysis of onboarding, access control, and input validation risks. The human and operational reality of cybersecurity. In any growing organization, cybersecurity is rarely broken by sophisticated nation-state exploits alone. More often, digital perimeters crumble due to subtle, everyday operational flaws. At Apollo, building a robust defense requires looking beyond theoretical code bugs to evaluate how administrative practices, identity lifecycles, and data entry workflows are structured by analyzing realistic workplace scenarios. Security teams can pinpoint hidden systemic risks and transform vulnerable practices into resilient operational standards. Evaluating the security posture at Apollo reveals 3 critical operational domains that require immediate hardening. The plaintext trap, weaknesses in security practices. When a new team member joins at Apollo, their initial onboarding experience sets the tone for institutional security. In one observed scenario, new employees received their network passwords delivered via plain text email, without any mandatory prompt to change the credentials upon their initial login. This workflow represents a fundamental weakness in security practices. Transmitting sensitive credentials in unencrypted plain text across email networks exposes passwords to interception by network eavesdroppers, email server indexes, and unauthorized account access. Furthermore, failing to force an immediate password rotation upon first login leaves static credentials lingering indefinitely in email archives. To adhere to modern cryptographic and operational standards, sensitive information like passwords must never be transmitted in clear text. Organizations must enforce end-to-end encrypted credential delivery mechanisms and mandate immediate password updates upon first entry. Credential hygiene principle. Emailing sensitive credentials in plain text creates an unencrypted, persistent liability. Operational security demands that initial passwords are encrypted during transit and immediately, invalidated upon first successful login. Ghosts in the database, access control failures, while employee onboarding demands strict credential hygiene. The offboarding process is equally pivotal to maintaining organizational integrity. At Apollo, an audit revealed that former employees retained active access privileges to the company's customer database long after their formal departure. This gap illustrates a severe access control problem. Access control governs who is authorized to view, modify, or export critical organizational resources. When an employee leaves a company, their digital permissions must be revoked instantly across all directory services, databases, and third-party tools. Allowing legacy access leaves confidential customer records vulnerable to intentional exfiltration, accidental disclosure, or secondary credential theft. Implementing automated identity lifecycle management and enforcing strict role-based access control (RBAC) ensures that access rights automatically terminate the moment an employment relationship ends. The unfiltered perimeter, non-validated input errors. At the application layer, user authentication systems act as at Apollo's front line of defense. However, testing demonstrated that new users could successfully register and log into their at Apollo accounts even when providing an incorrectly formatted email address. This flaw highlights a classic non-validated input vulnerability. Before an application processes, stores, or authenticates incoming user data, it must perform rigorous syntax checking and input validation. Allowing malformed email strings past the login portal signals that the application lacks proper input filters, exposing back-end systems to database corruption broken identity verification, and potentially severe injection attacks. Enforcing strict input sanitization and schema validation at the perimeter ensures that only properly formatted data enters at Apollo's core processing engine. Summary of identified security issues at Apollo. The following diagnostic matrix summarizes the security issues identified, their classification, and the required corrective measures. Observed scenario plaintext password sent via email. No change prompted vulnerability category weaknesses in security practices. Root cause and remediation unencrypted credential transmission and missing password rotation. Implement encrypted onboarding and forced change on first login. Observed scenario former employees retain customer database access, vulnerability category access control problems. Root cause and remediation failure to enforce immediate offboarding revocation. Implement centralized automated IAM and zero trust access control. Observed scenario logins permitted with incorrectly formatted emails, vulnerability category non-validated input. Root cause and remediation missing syntax verification on user input. Implement mandatory regex-based input validation before processing. Conclusion, moving towards resilience. By correctly identifying these potential security issues, Apollo takes a crucial step closer to safeguarding its enterprise from active cyber attacks. True protection requires an integrated approach, securing credential delivery through encryption, establishing strict access control lifecycles, and validating every byte of user input at the perimeter. Adopting these proactive standards ensures that Apollo remains resilient against evolving threats.
Bạn muốn học mạng máy tính nhanh hơn, hiệu quả hơn và có người đồng hành xuyên suốt? Khóa học mạng máy tính 1-1 sẽ mang đến cho bạn một giảng viên hướng dẫn riêng, xây dựng lộ trình học phù hợp với trình độ và mục tiêu của bạn. Bạn sẽ được thực hành liên tục trên các bài lab thực tế, rèn luyện kỹ năng cấu hình và xử lý sự cố mạng như trong doanh nghiệp. Với lịch học linh hoạt, hỗ trợ tận tình và tập trung 100% vào sự tiến bộ của từng học viên, bạn sẽ tự tin chinh phục chứng chỉ kỹ sư mạng quốc tế và sẵn sàng bước vào sự nghiệp quản trị mạng doanh nghiệp. Khóa học mạng máy tính 1-1 học đúng trọng tâm, thực hành chuyên sâu, sẵn sàng cho công việc thực tế.